Welcome to the Rooted Healing Podcast, where we heal and reweave our inner and outer landscapes. Here is another special seasonal offering with the renowned ceremonialist and author Isla Macleod. These more immersive episodes with Isla follow the turning wheel of the year, inviting us into the quiet wisdom held within each seasonal threshold. And perhaps that invitation feels especially confronting and important in this moment. As we arrive at Lughnasadh or Lammas, the first harvest, we find ourselves witnessing a season unlike those remembered by many before us. Across the British Isles, prolonged drought has left rivers depleted and fields scorched. Wildfires have spread through landscapes like Wales and Scotland, where this just doesn't happen so often here. I know this is happening all over the world. Heatwaves have travelled north with unfamiliar intensity, bringing exhausted wildlife, heat stroke, and farm animals, and deadly diseases have been able to move further and faster as climates shift. Here at home on the farm, we've lost some animals to what this shifting climate is bringing. And we've been leaving water and food for struggling hedgerows and other wildlife, and nursing overheated chickens back to health, and watching blossoms, berries, and harvests arrive earlier, fade faster, and sometimes fail altogether. The same unstable moods of this world have unleashed immense thunderstorms and devastating floods, reminding us that climate disruption rarely arrives as one story alone. Whether you understand such moments as the fierce creativity of the earth, the animacy of the gods, or simply the extraordinary forces of our lives, they have a way of reminding us how small, how alive, how fleeting, how utterly entangled we are. I found myself reflecting on how readily we meet these moments with wonder, even joy, while simultaneously holding the larger story they tell. We can be captivated by the beauty of this world, the immensity of a dramatic storm, while also grieving the conditions that are making such extremes increasingly commonplace. Perhaps this is part of the practice our times are asking of us, to remain open-hearted enough to experience awe without turning away from responsibility or our grief or our pain, to let love for this living world deepen precisely because it is changing before our eyes. It is from within this changing world that Isla gently guides us into the threshold of Lammas or Lughnasadh. May this offer a moment to slow down, to listen, and to remember that even in times of uncertainty, the seasons continue to teach us how to belong and how to meet change well.
As the corn ripens in the fields and fruit grows heavy in orchards and gardens beneath the generous warmth of the summer sun, the first whispers of harvest are all around us. The verdant greens and rampant growth of the past few months are beginning to soften, and the landscape is turning towards a palette of gold, yellow, and softer shades of green. The hedgerows surrounding my garden are heavy with ripening berries, and the long grasses and wildflowers bow beneath the weight of their seeds. There is a T-junction near my home that I pass through almost daily. Opposite it, a generous farmer plants a verge of sunflowers. For a few brief weeks around Lughnasadh, I sit waiting for the traffic and find myself facing a bright sea of golden, smiling blooms, and it brings me utter joy. This gift from a stranger feels like the purest expression of Lughnasadh. A harvest shared beyond one's own boundaries becomes a blessing for the whole community. Every year, those sunflowers remind me that fruitfulness reaches its fulfillment when it is offered to others. Lughnasadh welcomes us into this season of Thanksgiving with the invitation for generosity, wonder, and appreciation. We have witnessed that nothing comes into harvest overnight, as every ripened ear of corn and blossoming flower journeyed through darkness, rupture, rain, sunshine, and expansion. What was once only a tiny seed now blooms as nourishment and beauty, both in the world around us and within our own hearts. We need to pause, reflect, and witness these everyday miracles for them to truly touch us and expand our potential for generosity of spirit that gives without expectation or agenda. On Dartmoor at this time of year, the land is covered in ripe bilberries. Walking amongst their low-growing shrubs, stopping to enjoy their sweetness and gathering some in my basket to share, I feel humbled by the grace with which the earth shares her gifts. Everywhere I look, life is participating in an endless cycle of giving and receiving, where everything is in relationship with each other. It was while gathering bilberries a few years ago that I realized something simple. Abundance is relational. All life flourishes through relationship. The trees and hedgerows don't bear fruit for themselves or hold on to their bounty for fear of not having enough. They offer it freely to the birds, insects, mammals, and for future generations, as seeds are scattered and new forests are born. True abundance is expressed by how freely we are willing to share what has ripened within us, so we can scatter the seeds far and wide. Nature understands that fruitfulness reaches its fullest expression when it is nourishing something beyond itself. Like the mycorrhizal fungi that exchanges nutrients with plant roots and redistribute carbon and minerals among neighbouring plants, we align with our true nature when we allow what has grown within us to become good food for others. The gifts we have cultivated through experience, challenges, creativity, and presence were never meant to be hidden for fear that they might run out. They become gifts when they are shared with our kin, and our hearts keep overflowing like a bubbling spring the more generously we give. This can feel challenging in a world that perpetuates narratives of scarcity, encouraging us to believe we must always do more, achieve more, and produce more, leaving many people feeling burnt out. I have found myself caught in this mindset too, feeling deeply depleted and believing there wasn't enough time, enough energy, or enough of myself to offer beyond caring for my son. It's easy to compare our life to another's, overlooking the abundance already present in our own lives. What I find helps me in these moments of feeling limited is to slow down, pay attention, and give thanks for what is here right now that is sustaining me. I am not alone, and life is constantly inviting me into an active relationship where I feel how supported, cared for, and truly wealthy I am. The Earth's generosity is woven into the very fabric of creation, and so it is in our own lives. When I consciously choose to appreciate the generosity of nature and soften into presence, I notice the bee gathering nectar and spreading pollen from flower to flower. I see the way the house martins endlessly dance and share their delight of having wings. I appreciate the swelling acorns on the oak tree that will become food for squirrels, deer, birds, insects, and countless other animals. River shows me it never holds back sharing their water with the land it nourishes, because nature is always circulating energy, so abundance is flowing, never static or hoarded. The more we witness this generosity, the more gratitude flows, and we begin to discover abundance everywhere. Gratitude trains our eyes to recognize the miracles that were always present but overlooked, which helps us to loosen our grip on the fear that giving will leave us empty. Drawing nourishment from the beauty and plenitude of our lives, what we offer flows from fullness rather than obligation, so we don't deplete ourselves or give until we are empty. As we shift from scarcity to abundance, we are no longer concerned about not having enough, and we begin to ask, what is already here that longs to be shared? When we see the world through this lens, our own lives come into focus, and we notice the abundance that is blooming within and around us in the countless offerings that sustain the web of life every day. Just today, I have felt gratitude for the hug my son gave me before school, for the cool shade of the apple tree, for my friend who showed up with cake and listening ears, and the sun and wind that is drying the clean clothes, for the salad leaves I picked for lunch. At this time of Lughnasadh, the invitation is to notice and appreciate your own harvest, to feel the fullness of your basket and what naturally wants to be shared. I find it helpful to spend an evening creating something like a mind map by way of an inventory of the different areas of my life: home, relationships, creativity, work, spiritual, soul life, health, dreams, as I reflect on what has grown and is flourishing in each area, and notice where I might feel out of balance. I also acknowledge the invisible harvest of that which cannot be seen, such as the qualities of patience, self-trust, and setting boundaries. Taking stock of my harvest makes it more tangible, so I can share from this place of fullness and genuinely offer my praises to the Lughnasadh fire. Lughnasadh, or Lammas, is the first of the 3 harvest festivals and one of the great seasonal thresholds of the year, when the exuberance of summer begins its gradual turning towards autumn. The long days of high summer are still warm, yet something subtle has changed within the solar energy, slowly contracting since Litha. The shifting colours of the landscape and growing berries on the hedgerow reflect this precious time between fulfilment and release. My son was born at Lughnasadh, and I remember this feeling deep within my body memory. In the final weeks of pregnancy, there is an unmistakable sense of ripening as everything begins to point towards birth. There is a fullness that cannot be held indefinitely, and as my belly grew bigger than I thought possible, I remember feeling a yearning to release and surrender all I had known, to become a vessel for life to be born. But there was no rushing the intelligence of nature, and I had to allow the one who had been growing within me to emerge into the world in their own time. The waiting was as much part of the birth as the labour itself. As with every harvest, we put our trust in nature and hope for the best. I often think this is the deeper invitation of Lughnasadh, to notice what is ready to be born through us. Perhaps it is a creative project, a new way of being, a long-held dream finally taking shape, or an inner harvest of wisdom gathered through life's joys and challenges. Whatever has been gestating within us reaches its fulfillment by entering into relationship with the world and becoming known. Something else is asked of us at Lughnasadh. What is ready to be released? Every harvest requires an act of surrender because, much like birth, every true harvest changes us, and we cannot return to who we were before. Grain cannot remain standing if it is to become bread, and so they are cut for the well-being of the community. Crossing a threshold asks something of us, yet it also reveals the exquisite beauty that has been growing all along, preparing us for the season ahead. Lammas has deep roots across Britain and Ireland, with the Old English name Lammas or loafmas, referring to the baking of the first loaf from the year's grain. The older Celtic festival of Lughnasadh honoured the beginning of the harvest with gatherings, games, feasting and pilgrimage that celebrated the harvest as a communal act of thanksgiving. The fruits of the earth are received with gratitude, blessed through ritual and shared amongst the people, strengthening the bonds between land, community and spirit. Many customs surround the first and last sheaths of grain as a symbol of the harvest. The first corn is cut with great reverence at dawn, milled into flour and baked into a loaf to be shared by the whole community. Across many traditions, there is also the practice of offering the first fruits before consuming them, so the first apples, berries or ale might be blessed, offered to God, shared with neighbours, or left for wildlife. As we acknowledge that which sustains us is ultimately a gift, gratitude comes before consumption. The final sheath is woven into a corn dolly, thought to hold the spirit of the grain until it can be returned to the fields the following spring. Whether woven as a maiden, a hare, a spiral, or my personal favourite, a depiction of the kayak, these beautiful creations carry the hope that the life of the harvest would continue into another year, and that every ending also contains the seeds of renewal. One of the oldest Lughnasadh customs is climbing sacred hills at dawn in way of a seasonal pilgrimage. In Ireland, people ascended places such as Croagh Patrick, Slieve Donard, and Mount Brandon, carrying prayers of gratitude and asking for blessings on the harvest. Ahead of my son's birthday, we've made it a tradition to climb nearby Clay Hill and create a threshold with flowers and grasses that we both jump over to mark the threshold of him being born and my becoming a mother. We share a picnic with the wild gods and weave offerings for the earth and sun. As well as these pilgrimages being acts of devotion, they also provide the opportunity to witness the changing landscape from above and remember our place within the larger whole. Lughnasadh takes its name from Lugh, the bright or shining one of Irish mythology, remembered as a master of many arts. He is the patron of craftspeople, musicians, poets, healers, and skilled hands of every kind. One beloved tale tells how Lugh sought entrance to the hall of the Tuatha De Danann, and as each skill he offered was already represented, he finally asked, "Do you have one who is master of them all?" The answer was no, and so his unique combination of gifts earned him a place among them. His story speaks to the way our deepest offering is rarely a single talent, but the distinctive way our experiences, skills, and wisdom weave together in service of the whole. Lugh is said to have founded funeral games in honour of his foster mother, Tailtiu, who died after clearing the forests so that Ireland could be cultivated. These gatherings included athletic contests, horse racing, music, poetry, and feats of skill. Across Ireland, and elsewhere in the Celtic world, many communities still hold Lughnasadh celebrations with music, craft demonstrations, storytelling, dancing, and traditional games that acknowledge the human skills we can cultivate and share, such as strength, artistry, endurance, craftsmanship, eloquence. As the first harvest ripens, take time to pause and acknowledge all that has grown within and around you. Wander out into the fields, woods, or your favourite sanctuary space with a journal and reflect upon the dreams and intentions you were nurturing through winter and spring. Write about what has flourished, what has surprised you, what has required perseverance, and what no longer serves your journey, so you can assimilate the gifts from your inner harvest. You might choose to create a mind map reflecting the different aspects of your life, or make a piece of artwork inspired by your harvest, or weave together nature's gifts into an offering that celebrates your generosity of spirit. I love to craft a simple basket from reeds or hazel and ivy and fill it with beauty, and offer it to the river or place it on the roots of the apple tree in my garden, as I praise all that has inspired and nourished me towards this phase of fulfillment. Inspired by Lu, the master craftsman, whose many gifts remind us that our creativity is itself a sacred offering, you might begin Lughnasadh Day by greeting the sun with words of gratitude, welcoming their warmth and life-giving energy into your body. Then allow yourself time to create without expectation or judgment. Paint, write, weave, carve, cook, sing, dance, tend your garden, making something beautiful with your hands or body. Rather than focusing on any outcome, honor the joy of creating itself and give thanks for the teachers, ancestors, and experiences that have shaped your own unique gifts. Gather the abundance of the season to prepare and share food with love. Bake a loaf of bread, blessing each ingredient as you remember the soil, rain, sunshine, pollinating insects, and countless hands that have brought nourishment to your table. Share your bread with family and friends, or invite your community to a seasonal feast outdoors, inviting everyone to bring a dish inspired by their harvest, and leave some generous crumbs for the birds as an act of reciprocity with the wider community of life. Bring the spirit of the harvest into your home by weaving a corn goddess from wheat, grasses, corn husks, or raffia, allowing your hands to move intuitively as you infuse the weaving with gratitude and blessings for the seasons to come. Create a Lammas altar adorned with ripened grains, sunflowers, apples, blackberries, candles, and the rich golds, ambers, and russets of early harvest. Let it become a place to return to and tend to through the coming weeks as summer begins to soften towards autumn. Lughnasadh is also a beautiful time to gather the healing gifts of the season. Carefully harvest calendula, St. John's wort, yarrow, meadowsweet, and other summer herbs to make into infused oils, teas, balm or tinctures that capture the warmth and vitality of the sun to sustain you through the darker months ahead. As you prepare your remedies, offer songs and blessings or simple words of gratitude to the plants, acknowledging the generosity with which they continue to support both people and the wider web of life. As evening approaches, ignite a ritual fire or light a candle and allow yourself to sit in silence with the changing light. Consider all of those beings who have taught, guided, or challenged you these past 6 months, offering thanks for the wisdom they have gifted you along your path. Write their names on dried bay leaves or state their name and blow over the leaf before offering them to the flames. Lift up your gratitude with songs, drumming, or embodied prayer as you invoke the fire to be a place of thanksgiving for all that has been created, learnt, and shared this growing season. Finally, consider an act of generosity in honour of Lughnasadh. Share vegetables from your garden, bake a cake for a neighbour, teach someone a skill, donate food, or give presents where it is needed. The first harvest has always been a communal celebration, reminding us that abundance finds its deepest meaning when it is shared. May Lughnasadh's golden light illuminate the harvest within you, revealing all that has ripened through seasons of darkness, growth, and transformation. May you honor the wisdom gathered, the resilience cultivated, and the gifts that have blossomed within you. May you gather the fruits of your own becoming with tenderness, honoring the visible and invisible harvest that fills your basket. May you offer these gifts freely, trusting that what flows from the heart returns in ways unseen. As you cross this threshold between summer's fullness and autumn's descent, may you trust what is ready to be gathered and what is ready to be released. May you surrender with grace to the rhythms of becoming, knowing that every ending carries the seeds of renewal and every season has its own wisdom to offer. May your harvest be blessed, your offerings be received with love, and the seeds you carry forward be planted with hope for seasons yet to come.
Thank you for being here with the Rooted Healing community. You can support the show and receive many gifts in our Patreon community, and you can visit rootedhealing.org to learn more about our gatherings and courses. The wonderful music in this episode is from Bonnie Medicine, Mango Lassie, Telling the Bees, and Cynefin. I'm your host, Veronica Stanwell. Thanks for listening.